the other piece I wanted to say is that a lot of times when Mars comes onto the moon like this, you get these completions with people. It's almost like a karmic debt is paid off. Now, especially when you combine it with the fact that we have all these planetary endings happening. So you can, sometimes it's a time where, like, when they say in 12-step programs, you're making amends to people. Could be that suddenly you feel this need to like clean something up with somebody, or somebody comes and they rip your head off and they're like angry about this, that, and the other thing. And there's this accumulated energy because Mars rules anger of all this stuff. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to. You may find that in some of these cases, these are things that you can clean up, and you should. But in other cases, this could just be like the grand flambe of all the karma just bursting into flame, and the whole thing's complete. You have your say, they have your say, and you're like, it's all good. We're done. We're complete. So it's that kind of time. So I want you to have that. You may find yourself that there's somebody you want to apologize to or make amends, or that there's somebody that, you need to finally once and for all shift the relationship with. Like, all of those things can be relevant. All right, see if there's any last piece of this. Oh, so the last thing about this moon is that because we're at the halfway point of this Mars retrograde, like I was saying, the retrograde started around Halloween, it finishes on January 12th. We're literally at the midpoint. So one of the things you may find is that things that were going on in your life around Halloween that you weren't able to face yet, that you were like, oh, I really should be looking at leaving the job or whatever, but you're like, oh God, I can't even look at it. Now, as we hit the moon, because a full moon is like a spotlight that shines, whatever it shines, it's saying, look here. So here's that full moon shining on Mars saying, now you may be finally ready to act. You may be finally ready to take the action, especially also because one more thing that Mars rules is courage. It's the inner warrior. I think I've mentioned this before, but it's always bugged me that Mars is taken as only being about men. It's absurd, because in every chart, there's a Venus and a Mars, and everybody has the fusion of all gender within them. So Mars is that masculine power that exists in everybody, regardless of temporary body. And so you can pray to that Mars energy, that courage. If things are coming up for you under this moon, you can pray for the courage to be like, let me stand in my truth and do this. And because it rules Gemini, which rules the mind, speaking, standing up to truth, holding your truth, you really could even pray to Mars in a sense, or in the sense of, give me the words to say what I've needed to say all along. Give me the words to own my truth. This could be in writing, speaking, conversation that you've needed to have with somebody for a year. This could be where it finally comes to a head and you have to do it. So, all right. I think that is the major stuff I wanted to say about that. But, when you look at these things, in terms of completions, I really think, especially with people, these aren't only completions from this lifetime. When you get something of this magnitude happening, you may be transmuting or completing connections, karmic debts, like I was talking about, that you've carried for multiple lifetimes. That, lifetime after lifetime, you keep coming back with this particular person or that person, and you keep doing the same dance over and over. And sometimes you're the child, and sometimes you're the lover, and sometimes you're this, sometimes you're that. And you get to a turning point like this, and you're like, we're good. We're good. And you can tell if you're at that place, because you have no animosity towards them. All that stuff, all that sticky stuff will continue to keep rehooking you. But when you got into the place that you're not holding all that, they did me wrong, or, they're bad, but you're just in that place of completion. Some of you know what I'm talking about with this? You're just complete. There's no like they're bad or you're processing it all. You're just complete. And you're sitting in that place of wholeness, like whatever has been needed to be learned has been learned. You wish them well for the highest. You wish them every happiness, but you're complete and whole and grateful for whatever you learned. And you have no need to continue it anymore in the form that it was in, because that form may have represented somebody that you no longer are.